Hey folks, welcome back to the Portable Gamer, welcome back to American Truck Simulator, and welcome back to Carson City, Nevada. You say Nevada? You say Nevada. You say Nevada. I say Nevada. And it's funny because I used to live in South Lake Tahoe, California. And Lake Tahoe, if you don't know the area, Lake Tahoe is where California kind of spoons Nevada. And there's a line right through the middle of town. If you say you live in Lake Tahoe, you mean you live in South Lake Tahoe, and probably 3/4 of the town is on the California side. That's South Lake Tahoe. And then the other quarter of the town is on the Nevada side, and that's state line. So when I say I used to live near Nevada, I mean I used to live just a few miles from Nevada. But it's like a whole different world. Right, we are in our, what the hell truck is this? Is this our 378? Our 567. This is our 378. Is it not? Oh, I don't even remember. I have to look now. 378. Yeah. It's really late here. It's been a very long and somewhat trying day. Man, but dig these lights though. I'm really liking these. And frame rate looks good, render looks good, new microphone, new interior, new steering wheel. Let's get it on. We are going to take gravel to San Francisco. And I think we're going to take it through Yosemite. Doesn't really make sense. Would never happen in real life. But this ain't no real life, man. It's a video game. Do I have my lights on? Haha. Now I do. So yeah, it's been quite a trying day here. Don't hit the fire truck. Oh God. They give you a big ticket for that. Big ticket. So what's going on now? What's going on in gaming world? What's going on in sim world? What's going on in my world? A lot is the quick answer. As I've been playing with my new microphone. First off, let's get some fuel. I can't say gas, I gotta say fuel. I was told that by a trucker. A real life trucker. Right. Set the brake. Put her in neutral. Lights off. Let's get some fuel. So I got this here brand new microphone. I love it. It's a Blue Yeti. It's as big as a loaf of bread, and I don't have a lot of space on my desk, and yet there it is, like a big old vertical loaf of bread. And it was weird for me because there's no nothing, man. You just plug it in and it's good to go. Now on their website they say that's something like I wouldn't say proud of it, but that's like kind of a cool thing for them, because I guess there's some other USB peripherals where you do have to, download an app or like a setup kind of deal. You know what I'm saying? Like when you get a wheel. I just got a Thrustmaster wheel. If you get a Logitech wheel, if you get Fanatec, however you like to get down. It comes with that app to calibrate it and to program it, and you know what I'm talking about. Like you do. And there's nothing wrong with that. It just adds a step. Well, with the Blue Yeti, you just plug it in and then you go up to your sounds menu and you select it, and then you're good. That's it. That's like the whole thing. And I have to say I was a little not disappointed. That's not the right word. But it's like, hey man, I want to make it sound like I'm on the radio. I want the deep tone of a radio voice, you know what I'm saying? And I guess some of that has to be from your voice. You can't get that all with the microphone. Although, I mean, if you can get some auto-tune, why couldn't you get it from the microphone? You see what I'm getting at. So as I was doing audio testing, I was like, oh, I mean, I guess that sounds all right, but I want to, you know what I'm saying? You get what I want to sound like Bob Shepard, right? And it ain't happening. Not yet. So I thought, well, you know what? I'll test out OBS. This is how we got to Carson City, by the way. I'm telling you the story of how we got to Carson City. Gather around, children. Gather around. Have a seat by the fire here, and I'll tell you how we got to Carson City. Because we were going from Eureka to Elko. That ain't no Carson City. No, it's really not. So my first test was for the rest of the trip from Eureka to Elko. And I decided to do it in OBS because OBS has, on the audio side in OBS, it's got compressors, it's got limiters, it's got noise gates, it's got noise suppression, canceling, you know what I'm saying, noise reduction. It's everything. It's got the whole deal. And I was like, oh yeah, let's give that a try. So I recorded the video. I did a couple just like little baby ones around the parking lot, and I was like, oh yeah, this is perfect. Let's do it. So we got her going, and 40 minutes later, at the end of the video, I'm like, oh yeah, can't wait to hear what we got. And it sounded great. Audio was fantastic, but it was like the choppiest video ever. And I like OBS, and I want to like OBS, but I can't make it work. It's a mystery to me. It's a conundrum. It's an enigma shrouded in a tortilla. I can't make it work. It was working for a while, like when I first got it, and I've never been able to have that luck again. And what I'm told is what it could be is it was just the version that I had, and when it updated or patched over to its current, you know what I'm saying, it just it ruined it for me. We're going to drive right down the center of this scale, even though we really shouldn't. So, very pleased with the audio, but the video was unwatchable, and I had to scrap it. So, then what I did was, see what had happened was, I was like, oh, I know what I did wrong in OBS. I'm going to fix it, and it's going to be awesome. And, we've hauled these tandem trailers before, these little bottom dumpers, but I don't think we've ever hauled this one, have we? I don't think we have. Let's do it. Let's haul it. Or this one. This is interesting, with 3 axles. Let's do this one. I will take that job. So, same thing. We went from where is it? We went from Elko to Carson City. Same deal. And I was like, this is going to be beautiful, because I know the audio will be good because I didn't change anything there. And the video, right? I see it. And the video is going to be beautiful. And of course it wasn't. Am I going to be able to turn this thing around here? You know, I bet I can. It's just going to take me 57 swings. Whatever. We got time. So I thought I had made the changes that I needed to make to get the video portion working. And of course I had not. I just can't make OBS work. So that was our trip from Elko to Carson City. We got some points, we leveled up, but I didn't get any usable video out of it. So I've got kind of a show must go on mentality about this. And from what I've read and from what I've found on YouTube about YouTube, something that a lot of people say is, whether you're doing it for money or just for ego or for, to entertain people or whatever the reason is that you're doing it, you have to be serious about it. There are very few people that have sort of casual channels that do well or make any money. So if you've got a schedule, stick to your schedule, because once you start to drift, you know what I mean, it'll it'll just be like a cascade. If you skip one, you know, it's like taking a day off work. Who gets to take a day off work? Nobody. So, so the show must go on. So it's late here, and I'm still going to knock this out. And I'm going to make it awesome, I've decided. Or, I mean, when I say awesome, I mean in a relative sense. I know my videos are a little bit different, a little bit goofy. I'm okay with that. Yeah, something, let's check this before we go any further, because lift axle trailers are very big in Europe, but there really aren't that many in the U.S., or at least in American Truck Sim. I guess there could be lift axle trailers for realsies, but I'm talking about like as far as the game goes. There really aren't that many, but this is one. Okay, cool. So where did I say we were going? We're going to San Francisco via that dang old Yosemite. I don't know if we'll get all the way there in one episode, because it is it's kind of slow going through the canyon there. Well, I guess it's not really a canyon; it's more of a valley. But we'll go as, I don't know, we'll go as far as it feels right to go. Does that make sense? Yeah, we don't have to go all the way. Baby, we don't have to go all the way. We can go as far as you're comfortable going, which is probably going to be somewhere in the valley. And now my metaphor is just all mixed up and getting kind of creepy. So let's move on to other topics. What else is going on? I totally just forgot. What the hell else is going on? Hang on. Let me get out on the highway, and then I'll see if I can jog my memory. So we get over here. We get over here. Right, we're rolling again. So yeah, what else is going on? A bunch of games coming out in the next couple weeks. There's going to be some DLC for Train Sim World coming out a week from today, week from Friday, I think, a week from yesterday. But it's soon. It's the 16th. I've got that pre-ordered. I'm going to do an episode of that as soon as it becomes available. The week after that, F1 2018. And I really don't know what I want to do about that, because I'm really enjoying F1 2017. And I just had to start again because I accidentally uninstalled the game and deleted all my save games, because I'm awesome like that. You know. So part of me is like, I really like F1 2017. There's nothing different in F1 2018. Just some different drivers and moved around different teams. You know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And then another part of me is like, shoot, son, you're starting a new season on the 7th of August, 8th of August, and the game comes out on the 24th of August. It's like 2 weeks. Just take a 2-week pause and then start in Australia F1 2018. I might, I don't know. I don't not want to. I mean, who doesn't not want to get a new video game? I know. Blinking his brights at me. I would love to, but I don't, and it's really kind of expensive too. I mean, I'm not that old, but I'm kind of old, and I can remember when games were not as expensive as they are. And I mean, everything's more expensive, and then we all make more money too. So that's just inflation. It's not like the price of games went up and wages didn't. But it's still, I don't know, it kind of stings, man, to see a game for like $60 or $70. So, I don't know. I might not. I'm still on the fence about that. And then a couple weeks after that, Assetto Corsa Competizione comes out, and I'm definitely getting that. But I'm a little messed up about that too. Let me make this turn, and I'll tell you why. And I believe this has got to be close to Lee Vining. Yep. Did I have the pass? I also lived in Mammoth Lakes. I think I've said all this before, but I also lived in Mammoth Lakes. and Mammoth Lakes is, well, it's on 395. So I want to say we just made the turn at Lee Vining. If we had continued straight down 395, we would have gone right through Mammoth Lakes. So yeah, this is really like my neck of the woods. So I think I've told you this story before, but you know what, man? It's late at night, we're in a truck in the middle of nowhere, and I just pretend you're a hitchhiker and you're stuck in my truck, and you're just going to listen. You're going to listen. So I like racing sims, but I sort of, and I realized this after the fact. I realized this later in the game, but I sort of came up on race sims that weren't really race sims. They were just really, really detailed arcade games. Felt like sims. They weren't. But then I got into more like proper racing sim games. And I guess the first inroad, so to speak, was Project Cars 2, which, until you play other more realistic sims, it feels like a sim, and it's not. It's an arcade game. It's very immersive. It has unbelievable graphics. It's very immersive, and it sort of tricks you. And there's a more realistic sim called Assetto Corsa. If you know all this, just bear with me. It's more realistic. It's got better physics. It's got, I guess, better AI. It's just a more realistic race sim, if that's what you're looking for. But I was kind of disappointed by the graphics, particularly compared to Project Cars 2. Well, in time, I got the game kind of heavily modded, like I do with everything. Nothing's ever good enough. Welcome to Yosemite. Oh. It's the middle of the night. Oh, no. What happens if we go forward? Oh. You. What happens if we go forward? How do we get around? We'd have to go back and then through Reno and Truckee. Do we want to risk it? Are we just going to get a bunch of tickets? You know what? Let's risk it. We've got enough money, and we'll just roll for a while and see what happens. Okay, all right. I'm hoping we don't hit an invisible wall here, or just get like ticket after ticket after ticket. We'll see. Anyway, so I found a bunch of mods for Assetto Corsa on a race department. And with those mods, you can make Assetto Corsa nearly as compelling. Okay, so fine, it's 1,000. Okay, now, are they going to keep finding us 1,000? That is the question. There is no day-night cycle in Assetto Corsa, but there are day and night. I mean, there's daytime weather mods, and there's nighttime sort of almost like cheating weather mods. It's a weather mod, but the weather that it makes is night, if that makes sense. And just all kinds of reshade, sweet FX, and different post processing and cars and skins and all kinds of things. And I feel like I got Assetto Corsa to a point where it almost looks as good as Project Cars 2, but of course it has those better physics. And it took a lot of work. It took like hours and hours and hours, not of playing the game, but of just dicking around with those mods to get everything to work together. And they're constantly being updated. And so I put some work. And I'm not whining when I say that, or like asking for pat on the back or anything. I'm just saying that's how I like the game. I like to build things, make changes, make it personal, right? Like make it your own. So I did that, and what's funny is it seems like a lot of the changes that I did on my own and like sorted out and made it all make sense, made it look the way I wanted it to, I think a lot of that stuff is just going to be kind of native in Assetto Corsa Competizione Vanilla. You know what I mean? Like all those mods and all that whatever, they won't be mods. won't like that, but it's going to have a day-night cycle. It's going to have rain, I think. It's going to have the graphics are significantly improved. It's going to have a lot more cars, so it's good, But there's a part of me that's like, oh, the Assetto Corsa that I built, like one mod at a time. I know as soon as Assetto Corsa Competizione comes out, I'm never going to play it again. So, and that's always kind of bittersweet for me. You know how that goes. Same thing's happening with FS19. It's going to be a minute. It's going to be November before FS19 comes out. But there's still part of me that's like, all the time and effort that I put into FS17, not just playing the game, but, building it, modding it, getting it to work, that's all just going to get deleted. And I know there are people, in fact, you can find a bunch of videos of people that have every version of Farm Simulator, and they'll do like a comparison when a new one comes out. Like when FS19 comes out, I promise you somebody will do a video that's like side by side of FS09, I think is the first one, up through FS19, and show the progression. And what that tells me is that person has kept all those games, not just kept them, but kept them installed, and knows how to, because you got to do compatibility or run an emulator or whatever. I think that was it. Are they going to ding us again? I bet they are. I mean, we're loaded. Not like loaded, but you know what I mean. I think we're going to get dinged again. I don't know if that's going to count against our score when we deliver. We'll see. But that fascinates me, that there are people that keep games that have been replaced by other games. And I think there are some games where that works. I think some of the F1 games from Codemasters, I know you can find a ton of threads where people are like, oh, no. F1 2015 is the best. It's got the best sound. It's got the best cars. And I don't have enough experience in the sim to like have an opinion about that, but I can definitely get where they're coming from, because I know there are some games that are just pure gold. And what's funny is when you get into games with like a yearly update, I guess is a good way to say it, like Madden, right? Or like Farm Simulator, where every year it's not necessarily a new game, but like a variation on the theme of the game that you already have. Is that a good way to say it? That you can compare like apples to apples. I don't know if I'm making sense right now. For something like Call of Duty, every game is so different, or Medal of Honor, they're always so different that you can't really compare them like one to another, if that makes sense. But for something like Madden, it's just football, so you can compare those to each other. Or something like Formula One, where it's, if not identical cars, then at least very similar, and the tracks are identical from year to year. And they may change the chicane, but that doesn't happen terribly often. So for the most part, the tracks stay the same, the cars stay very similar, so you can compare, and what you're comparing really is how well the game is executed that year versus what the actual content is. I think that makes sense. All right? So I know from that perspective, I know there are some games that are, using F1 as an example, like people like, I keep speeding and I don't mean to. People really like F1 2015. It's like the gold standard or whatever. And from that, like when Euro Truck Simulator 3 comes out, whenever that'll be, right? It's going to be a big jump, because they've just been kind of patching the game for years, and they're going to patch it and patch it and patch it until it's not patchable anymore, and then they're going to take a big jump, and they're going to maybe put it on a different physics engine. Physics will be completely different by then. We might be, 2 or 3 years from now, everything could be VR. The idea of playing a video game on a monitor is like, what are you, some kind of a nut? Right? Like, everybody will just play with a VR headset. So that'll be a big jump forward. And I feel like it'll be kind of hard to compare the two because they'll be so different. But for something like Farm Sim, where it's, more or less the same activity, I feel like it really is a lot easier to compare. Although, frankly, to be real with you, when I look at like Farm Sim 09 or Farm Sim 11 or some of the first generation, I think, man, I would not be a farmer if this was the first exposure I had to this game. First iteration that I saw was FS15, and I was on it for about 3 months before FS17 came out. And you know what? After farming for 3 months, I still really had no idea what I was doing. I would cheat in a bunch of money and buy really, really cool trucks and just drive them. Really cool tractors, rather. Really cool equipment, really cool tractors, and just drive them. And Seasons wasn't available yet, so you could plant anything you wanted. You could harvest anything you wanted. You could, right? There was no schedule. You just do whatever you wanted. It was like a big sandbox. So I would cheat in like 10 million pounds or 10 million euro or whatever. And then I would just sandbox it. And I had no idea what I was doing. Now, I like to think of myself as a semi-professional fake farmer. But at the time, not even close. And even then, it was kind of a transition to go from FS15 to FS17. But like I said, if the first thing that I saw was FS, it's either Farm Simulator 09 or Farm Simulator 11. I don't know, but it was like the first year that it was released. If that was my first exposure to the game, I don't think I would have played it at all. Now, to be fair, we're looking back at 2009 from summer of 2018, and of course everything looks kind of hokey. But if I were going to argue the opposite point, I would say no, there are games from 2009 that are fantastic. There are some, I don't know what to call them. They're like golden games in history. Diablo 2, Age of Empires. They're old, really kind of cheesy games to look back on. Some of the Janes. Some of the Janes aircraft games. The IDF game, the U.S. Air Force Fighters game. There's a couple others. But, yeah, they didn't really age well compared to contemporary games, but when you see them or when you play them, you can recognize like how good they were at the time, and had they been kept current, how good they'd be now. So yeah, I do think there are some games that stand out. But I guess, to me, looking back, Farm Simulator, the first couple generations of Farm Simulator, to me, they don't really stand out. I'm glad that I came into it when I did, because I don't find them very impressive looking back. Uncalled for. So yeah, there's a bunch coming out, and then there's a couple more after that. Aren't there? Are there a couple more coming out? Yeah, I think there are a couple more Sims coming out. There's some DLC for ATS and ETS. There is Farm Sim. I'm trying to think what else. Formula 1. I haven't heard anything about Project Cars 3 or a major update to Project Cars 2, so I don't know what's going on with that. I still like that game, but it is it feels pretty arcade now. And I'm on that iRacing track, and it is making me crazy because I'm on a C license in road and oval, and I keep waiting to get to a point where I don't get wrecked in races by people doing dumb things. But I've found a lot of stuff on Reddit, and people are like, yeah, that will always happen. And even when I watch races on iRacing.tv or what's the other one, Esports Live Network, there are a couple YouTube channels that broadcast a ton of iRacing events. And even at the pro level, you see like a massive crash heading into turn 1 on the first lap. And I think, man, that's no different than the rookies. Like, at what point does that not happen? Because I see it happening at the pro level. And I mean, occasionally you see something like that happen in real life, but not nearly as much as you do in iRacing. And obviously, I mean, I know it's different. Fake cars, you can't get hurt, I get it. But you just think, for all the time and effort that people put into licensing up, and the amount of prestige and in some cases money that's available for those races, that people would be more careful. You know, you're not going to win a race before turn 1 on lap 1. Just cool the F out, man. Settle in and run your race. You don't need to win it in the first turn. So it's making me crazy because my safety rating is all over the place. And I guess there's just really not a lot you can do about that. You got to be careful and just kind of grind your way through it. But I'm also sort of coming to terms with not just the expense, because iRacing can be a very expensive game, and I would like to focus on one series, probably GTE. That's my style. I'm a sports car guy. But there is, and again, you know, spending time on Reddit and seeing, you know, how people feel about this stuff. There is the 911 RSR came out a few months back, and I thought I would need to sort of pick a car and pick a discipline in iRacing for the money. Now, I don't want to spend $1,300 on a video game. So I thought it would be, right? That would be my motivation to pick a car and then pick a series and just stick with it. But what I'm finding is the reason you want to do that is, particularly as you get up to like B license and A license, the cars are so accurate and the tracks are so accurate and the competition is so stiff that you have to learn a car and learn the tracks of a series. You can't just, right? Like, you can't just hop around and, you know, deedly-deet. You got to take it really, really seriously. And I mentioned the 911 because apparently everybody was waiting for that car and everybody wanted that car and everybody bought that car, but it's a 911, right? There's a reason they call it the Doctor Killer. It's a really hard car to drive, and particularly it's a really hard car to drive fast. So there are a ton of people wadding up their 911s because they haven't taken the time to learn to drive it. They just licensed up specifically so they could buy that car and take that car into a series. And apparently that's not a good thing to do. That's not a smart play in iRacing. What you want to do is really focus on consistency and quality and not just sort of promotions for promotion's sake, if that makes sense. So I guess my takeaway from that is I really need to decide what series I want to run. I already know I want to be in the AMG SLS GT3. In fact, I already bought it. And it's not a GTE car, it's a GT3 car. So that's going to cause some problems. But it doesn't have to be GTE. I want to be racing sports cars. I don't want to do open wheel, and I don't want to do stock cars or trucks. Certainly not dirt. But I have that car. That's going to be my car. I just need to decide what series I want to race it in. And then based on that, buy the tracks that I need and just leave it. Because from the sound of it, if you want to drive fast at the higher levels, you need to pick a car and pick a series and stick with it and get good at it. And you can't just bounce all around like it's an arcade game. All right, end of rant. And we are getting into San Francisco. That wasn't really a rant, was it? I mean, maybe a little bit. Mostly I'm just talking while I'm driving. You know how I do. So, and this is going to be a good time to put our lift axle up. trying to think what lane I want to be in here. I'm like visualizing. I think I want to be in this lane. Yeah, I do. Okay. Because we're going to loop around and under, and then we got to make a turn. But it is a right turn, so we're on the right side. Are we? Yeah, we are. Okay. We're good. Ah. Very steep. So we got what? We got a speeding ticket, and we got a taking a trailer through Yosemite ticket. Now, I'm curious to see what that does to our score when we deliver this job. I don't think it's going to do anything, but I'm curious. Turn signal. Jeezy Pete's. Okay, so we get on here, we'll make another right. Okay. So yeah, man, that's what's going on in gaming world, in my world on a Friday night. I think. Now, tell you what we might do. Well, I don't know how I feel about the whole Yosemite thing. I was gonna say let's drive back through Yosemite, because we did this trip mostly at night, and that was on purpose. We haven't done a trip at night for a minute. What? Oh, okay. There's two streets. This has not been my best driving day. I'm trying to find a way to go back through Yosemite. Now it says no commercial trucking, but I don't know if you can deadhead through Yosemite. I mean, it's only $1,000 fine, and we have $2 million, so it's not the end of the world. But at the same time, you know what I mean? It's not really the spirit of the game to just like throw it away like that. So I don't know. I'd like to drive through there in daylight. We'll see. We'll see. Okay. I think we're going to a construction site. Yeah? Yep, we are. So we'll find a way to get that going, but I think I'd like to, well, ideally clear the fence. Fantastic. Ideally, we will take a job to the other. We just off camera we took a job to one of the gold mines in Nevada, the one in Carson City. We need to take another load to the gold mine in Pioche? Pioche. Pioche? I don't know. Pioche. That's the other town. And I believe if we take deliveries to both of those gold mines, we get a Steam achievement. But I think we also may not, because we've got a company names mod running, and I think it breaks that Steam achievement, and that's why we never got credit for the wine deliveries that we made to the vineyards. Right. This guy. No, you stay right there, sir. Don't help me out. I don't need a spotter. I got this. clear it? I think we're going to clear it. Beautiful. Beautiful. Fantastic. Right. So let's get this turned off. Set the brake. Let's see how we did. All right. You pay a fine for going through Yosemite, but there are no other ill effects on your career, folks. Thank you so much for stopping back to check out The Portable Gamer. Thanks for joining us for another episode of American Truck Simulator. And we'll see you next time. Take care now.